Is Chicago a failed city? And now, before y'all come for me, hear me out. Now, I love Chicago. The food is really good, the weather in the summer is really nice, and the city is kept up pretty well in most places. And it's just a really great city to visit overall, and I'm sure to live. But on paper, the city isn't looking too good. Now, let me start off by saying that Chicago hasn't always looked bad on paper. It was actually one of the strongest economic powerhouses in the US in the mid 1900s. And most of the Midwest was in industrial manufacturing, with Chicago being the biggest, and it was also a major transportation hub. Plus, there were two world wars to really invigorate the economy. But then the 1970s came around, with problems like inflation, environmental regulations, and outsourcing to foreign nations. And this was detrimental to all of the Midwest, not just Chicago. Chicago luckily has some industry diversification thanks to its size. But smaller cities don't have that advantage. For example, Cleveland, which I made a video about recently, so go check that out. But the reason I asked if Chicago is a failed city is for the point I just made. Because it's so big, there's some industry diversification, right? But then why is it on a downward spiral when looking at population growth or GDP? Chicago theoretically has the resources and the population to dig itself out of any hole that exists, unlike the smaller Midwest cities. Now, Chicago does have some brutally cold winters, and this may be a big reason why some people don't want to lay down roots in the area, or people are moving to more temperate climates. Now, this is something out of Chicago's control, but with Chicago being one of the largest populations in the country, I think something can be done better with what exists. But that's just me looking at some numbers on our website. Now, none of this means that Chicago can't be a great place to live or raise a family. And there are so many great city amenities that it offers to its residents. But there are definitely some opportunities being left on the table, and city leaders need to figure out a way to tap into that. All this data comes from Ursus.com, and be sure to follow for more city data analysis.